the TikTok star, to be next.
Well,
to
I've
the TikTok star.
also been on not the Andrew Marr show today.
Oh, that's good. About what?
Well, I was virulently attacked by Tony Greenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I sort of
what?
demanded the right for nothing that made any sense.
He's,
I was supporting
he's off.
far right.
Yes.
But he didn't. About transes, about
He
climate,
really doesn't get the trans thing.
but
at
he
all.
he didn't say who I'd supported.
He's accused of being a conspiracy theorist himself.
Well, I know.
So
Yeah, but the way you prove
Still,
you're not
he might
conspiracy
be one.
theorists is by beating up
Yeah,
on
I
the other
suppose so.
conspiracy
I suppose so.
theorists.
Well, we could talk more about that in a second. Are we being recorded? We are.
we are, yes.
But I don't have our own recording, so can I have one of those as well?
Yeah.
Which one of you guys want to do a
I'll
recording?
send you this one. I'll send you this.
Send me this one.
Yeah.
All right.
Depending on what you say, you can have to post it on YouTube as well.
Depending on what I say.
Yeah, well,
that's dangerous.
we'll have to watch out. Sent to you.
Okay, well, I've got about 6 things to talk about. Number 1, I'm going to talk about direct energy weapons. Number 2, I'll put this down in a second, avoid distraction. Number 2, hyper conspiracies. Number 3, ultra low emission zone. Number 4, not the Andrew Marr show. Number 5, the United Front. And number 6, we've got to have a bit of memorial for Jeff Wyatt, who died 1 year and 1 day ago.
16.
Okay, so I'll go through quite quickly. First of all, directed energy weapons. This is very important, and I know some people don't believe this, but all of these fires recently, all of the ones on the islands in Greece and in Hawaii, and I want to talk about especially Hawaii, are not natural. They are entirely man-made, and most of them, if not all of them, by directed energy weapons. Now, I'm going to show you this picture here. Very important. This is a picture of aftermath of what's happened in Hawaii. And all these buildings completely, utterly destroyed into light grey dust. The same dust as we've seen in 9/11. Okay, but the trees, you can't see them very well, but the trees are still standing. These are trees right beside buildings which are supposedly so hot that the bricks crumbled, right? And things with blue roofs, a little blue shed there, blue building there, and green grass, or else it's astroturf, survive. What is going on?
Question why?
Why?
Yes.
Well,
The car could have just been driving in.
okay. Well, I'm going to say a few things about what these weapons are in a second. But what else is going on? The areas have been immediately fenced off. This happened in the Greek islands out here, and no one is allowed in. And what it seems to be is a massive land grab going on for land which they'll turn into a playground for the super rich, or in the case of the islands in Greece, probably make them into wind farms and energy, whatever stuff, you know, to collect sunlight and so on. That's probably what is going on. So they're land grabs and direct energy weapons to do it. But look, let's be clear. A normal fire is not going to destroy all the bricks and all the mortar and leave trees. It's completely insane. There's so
A
many...
lot of buildings over there are
In
made of
wood. In wood.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, they're made of wood. The trees should catch fire as well. Okay? Now,
I mean, I'm not a fire expert, I don't know.
I'm going to show you something here. I've got to get it out of the bag.
I mean, why don't they use it in Ukraine?
Well, maybe they will.
They're using up the old weapons.
Maybe they will.
So
But
they
look,
can restock.
something is going on which is new in use but not in... Now I've got numbers of these documents here. I've got very thick documents about Soviet scalar weapons produced in 1986, right? This one here is dated 1989. Soviet phase conjugate weapons. Now what am I talking about? It's very advanced electromagnetism involving high dimensions. I won't go into all the theory, but basically the magnetic scalar potential can be projected and beamed, and where the beams can made to interfere, you'll get massive explosive energy. The Soviets developed this way ahead of the West, probably using some German scientists that was after the Second World War, and the Soviets have made it very, very dangerous.
Did you
very,
have that
very
stored
powerful.
in your box somewhere?
Pardon?
Did you have that stored in a
I
box
did,
somewhere?
I did. I've been holding this stuff.
Waiting.
Yeah, I have actually. I've been holding this stuff since 1990 because I was told it was too secret and I shouldn't reveal it at all. However, Mr. Bearden, this guy, has revealed stuff now on the media, and it's been actually as a film made in 2014, which is available. And if you go to our new website, Stop Direct Energy Weapons, that phrase there, Stop Direct Energy Weapon Fires, you can find it there. Very, very, very interesting stuff. It is hard physics, very hard physics, but it is real. It is working. There's actually models of things you could make at
It's
home
one
even.
thing to say, which I wouldn't dispute.
Yep.
It's one thing to say direct energy weapons exist. It's another thing to say that was an attack by a direct energy weapon.
Well, the
I wouldn't dispute
contradictions and the contrast, this blue roof stuff is happened in other places as well. Blue roofs have got left. The US government, through FEMA, are now asking people to put blue roofs on their houses. This is top level stuff. It hasn't come from below.
The protection. Is that what they're saying?
Maybe they're expecting the Russians to attack with this stuff from the skies. I think this stuff was done from the skies, direct energy weapons carried by some vehicles, interferometry, sweeping along in lines, destroy, destroy, destroy. Now, I don't know this for certain, but it's very clear this is not a normal fire. And there's indigenous people in Hawaii screaming out loud, this is not a normal fire, you've tricked us, you've fired us, you've driven us on our land, we want our rights to go back on the land. And even journalists are not allowed in these areas, which are completely fenced off now. Completely fenced off, with walls ready-made to build around them.
They did that
Whole
in the
areas
States as well.
are now fenced off.
In the States as well, after the fires there, exactly
Florida
the same. They
too.
wouldn't let people
Florida
back
too.
into the- yes.
Same thing happened.
Yes.
This has been done earlier,
It's a
but
land
now
grab.
it's a bigger scale
Question.
land
Do
grab.
we know how many children have gone missing?
Allegedly, 2,000 children have gone missing. They were sent home because it was windy. There was a storm. They were sent home, and then all the fires happened, and then the children disappeared. So were they bundled away, or are they dead in cinders? We don't know.
Trafficking.
Well, the motive is to control you. It might be trafficking, but certainly it's a land grab. A massive land grab. All right.
Fucking illegal. You know what the elite's like.
This is very serious stuff. We went to the US Embassy. Yes, sir.
Would you say with this technology, like are we heading somewhere like space war or what?
Yes. It could have been why the Americans introduced Star Wars to try and stop the Russians using it, while the Americans were developing it. I don't know. But the Russians were miles ahead. They probably still are miles ahead. Yes. This was developed in the Soviet Union. The first talk of it was in the 50s. Then, 1986, a document came out, which was secret, which spelt it out. This stuff, you see, could supersede nuclear weapons because you can direct this stuff to the electronics in nuclear warheads from a distance, so they can never take up. Yeah, it's Tesla stuff is in there too.
It's, I just know somebody who's just paid a lot of money to have scalar wave therapy. Scalar wave therapy.
What's that?
It's well, they sit in a room with these waves. I don't know.
This is a quack stealing money, I suppose.
it?
Come on, complete nonsense. You know, that's another thing. I want to talk about that now you say nonsense. There's plenty of nonsense around in the movement. The movement will spout nonsense because it gets hits on the internet. You see, playing with this stuff is very dangerous. If they're doing that, I would say they could kill people, so don't do it. Right, second one is about higher conspiracies. There's lots of people around claiming that man can do this or that. Now look, you can change the weather locally with cloud seeding, basically. This sort of stuff, although that's a big area, that is very local compared with climate. So but there's still talk that man can change climate. Now all that is nonsense. The climate depends on the jet stream. The jet stream is a macro phenomena, a worldwide phenomena. So if you're going to change climate, you've got to change something in the whole world. Now the first thing to know, two things to know. Well, one thing. Every major earthquake and every major storm are preceded by or coincident with massive coronal holes on the sun. Earth-facing coronal holes. So those are the drivers of these very extreme events, if you like, and also in the long run will change the jet stream. So that's where climate and weather extremes come from. The idea that mankind, even with this, can suddenly change, something on the scale of what the effects of a huge coronal hole are is ridiculous. However, it gets hits on the internet. So people make these crazy claims with no evidence whatsoever and often confuse cause and effect. They say, oh, they've seen this warming effect above where an earthquake happened. Well, okay, but the earthquake is going to cause things anyway. The pre-earthquake causes things. Animals know when there's an earthquake coming. A lot of them leave areas where they can detect some changes in electric field or magnetic field or even scalar field, who knows? But they move. And this can be seen, and the air above could easily be warm for all sorts of reasons. So beware of hyper-conspiracies, because what they do is they disempower us. They make people think, oh, the enemy control us all, can do everything, weather, climate, everything. They can do a lot of things, but not as much as our own movement complains. So people should shut up, think, and get evidence. If they make any claims, I'd like to see evidence. All we have is, oh, somebody said this, there's an opinion that. No, they are trying to convince us of science, so-called, by opinion. They say, some jerk in Imperial College says, therefore it's true. No, he's funded by Bill Gates, so therefore it's probably untrue. But look, we have to have evidence for everything. So I plead people, don't go down hard conspiracies, look for evidence.
Can I just ask?
Yes, sir.
So chemtrails, though.
Yes.
I would look at the sky every day.
Yes.
And you see them operating.
Yes.
It seems to be creating massive blanket cover. And surely that affects the climate, at least locally. And I've just seen that in Europe as well.
Yeah. Well, of course, the powers that be are trying to convince us that their spraying of the skies is to control weather and climate. Bill Gates even funded some small experiment. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. What are you trying to tell me? Well, okay, fine. Afterwards, speak afterwards. So why are they telling us these stories? Bill Gates did spend some money, giving some university, and they sprayed a bit of chalk dust, right? But the amount of chalk they sprayed was actually tiny. The effect it would have had would have been tiny. The measurements would have been tiny. But they still did it to tell you they're trying to save the planet, okay? And all this other spraying is poisonous material as far as I can see, going on the ground, which will affect crops and cause crop damage. That is the real purpose of that. So all of these things, they'll connect their narrative with other things, you see. So this will be blamed upon man-made climate change. Of course, that is completely insane. But there's no man-made climate change. There's nothing happening now which is anything different from extremes that have happened in the last 50 or 100 years. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And these big floods are mostly on deltas. Well, you look at a delta, what is it? It's a sea of mud deposited over the last 10,000 years because there's always floods there. That's why they're deltas. So another flood is nothing special. The extremes this year, interesting one they never reported, was the lowest temperatures ever recorded in the Northern Hemisphere were recorded this January in Russia. And there was also some very, very extreme cold in the US of A. Not reported. They instead ramp up heat measurements by lies and using fake instruments or instruments that are non-standard. You go to St James's Park, there's a patch there to collect temperatures, but it's beside a road. And it's got metallised concrete underneath the weather station. That is non-standard. The fence is black iron iron painted, non-standard. The mounting of the Stevenson screen is metal, non-standard. It conducts heat from the ground to the apparatus. This is the stuff they're doing all over the place. They're choosing places, setting up new stations, deliberately placed in order to get hot when there's certain southeast winds and there's buildings to the southeast causing warming. St James's Park is surrounded. The whole of London's surrounded by a new build. That's why it's getting warmer.
What's your projection for the weather in the next month?
There is going to be some more Indian summers, which we did predict. And you can find out more if you come to weatheraction.com and buy a forecast.
Which we did predict.
But we did predict numbers. of
Is
things.
it going to be like that? That's what I'm asking you.
There will be some more for the rest of the autumn. And not all the time, but there's going to be bursts of them. Very significantly hot.
Shitty summer.
Yes, a shitty summer. Well, June was okay, but the shitty July and August was as we predicted.
That was true. You did do that.
Using long-range forecasting, understanding magnetic effects of the sun. Okay, forecastable months ahead. And I recently found, just to verify this, some little experimental trials we were doing back in 2013. We were doing experimental trial forecasts of earthquakes. We didn't know where they're going to happen, but we said they would. And they did. It's all on this document 2013. Predicted earthquake risk. And it worked. So it's nothing to do with these weapons. Although they'd like to do that, of course they'd like to do it. No, it's on our website. Well, it's weatheraction.com. This is probably under the RTQ forecast at weatheraction.com. Take a picture of this if you want. Okay, yeah, do it later.
What was the other one? Stop direct energy weapons.
Stop direct energy weapon fires.
Yeah.
Not
So it
weapons.
wasn't coming
Okay,
up.
better press on, guys. So next one. Ultra low emission zones. We had a beautiful demonstration yesterday at Coulsdon Roundabout on the A243. And 243 is a superb number, it's 3 to the power 5. So that's good luck for us and bad luck for Sadiq Khan. Now already Sadiq Khan has his rowing back. He says, oh, we're just going to warn people now. Their first offence in ULEZ is a warning. Okay? Well, I would say the second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth offences should carry on as being warnings. I don't mind being warned.
Global warning.
Global warning.
Yes, it's a global warning. Anyway, good show of people there. I drove my car round the roundabout a few times and then parked on the roundabout, as did a whole gamut of other people in a convoy. And I'm going to repeat online how we're going to win. We're going to win by people driving at will, not paying, and by taking down the cameras. That is happening. We're demanding the councils take down. Demanding the councils take the cameras down because they're illegal. The cameras are illegal. They were never consulted on. They've just been stuck up there. Sadiq Khan never got a mandate for this in his election. They just extended this ULEZ zone to the M25. It is murdering businesses, causing suicides. It will do, it already did within the North and South Circular. It's a destruction of business, destruction of the economy, destruction of your right to drive. It is utterly monstrous, and we will win.
Hey,
Yes.
come on.
Drive at will. Do not pay.
Drive at will.
The
Do not
cameras.
pay. Drive it down the
Cameras.
Coordinate.
Sounded good.
Go on
Try it
again.
again. Drive at will. Do not pay. Take down the cameras. Drive at will. Do not pay. Take down the cameras. Break ULEZ. Break Sadiq Khan. Break ULEZ.
Is that no
Break
racist?
Sadiq Khan.
Is that no racist? Breaking.
Could be. Could be.
Tell him
Well,
off, you mean?
but people, take these leaflets, give them out to anybody, anywhere, and give some money for more. Okay, next one. The Not Andrew Marr show. I was on there today. It was quite a good show, a lot of information there. They had a very brief discussion about the Stop Starmer campaign and specifically standing a candidate in Starmer's constituency. And they say it's going to be based on Jeremy's 2017 election.
Corbyn has 27-point plan for the Communist.
Now, I pointed out that this is a bit passé, right? Because the world has moved on since then. We've had a lockdown. We've had compulsory injections. The convener, Crispin, allowed me on, I think. And then I challenged Greenstein to come up with some evidence that I was supporting far right. And I just said that and then went on to say a point about the campaign they want is that it's in the past. They've got to relate their past, they've got to relate people into what's happening now and what has just happened. They should be mounting a campaign against the next lockdown. That's what they should do if they want to get real support from working people. Otherwise, their campaign will get lost and Starmer will get re-elected. And I also said we've got to build action around the United Front. We've got a conference on the 7th of October and I would urge people to come to that. It's going to be in the Angel Church in Islington. And
who's that?
It's us. We set this up and others.
Real left?
No, well, they'll be there. But it includes me, the Sikhs organisations, Real Left, some freedom movement individuals. It is a united front, and I've got the action programme on the back of that. And if you go to Piers _Corbyn stop new normal, then you will find more about it.
12th of October.
The 7th of October.
7th.
It's Saturday. Okay, so now can we move on to Jeff Wyatt? Jeff Wyatt died a year and a day ago, and I thought it would be appropriate we should pay tribute to him because he and I were arrested just over there on the 16th of May 2020. I was arrested just before him, and since then we had a fantastic relationship. Basically, both him and I, because he was called far right and I was called far left, we made the point that the right and left differences in the movement are completely stupid. They are there to divide and confuse. The real difference is either you're for or against a new world domination by the World Economic Forum. Either you want accountability, which is what we want for all elected people, or you go along with a new world tyranny. Jeff was famous for his one-liner placards. They predated yellow boards recently. They were like whiteboards. But things like, end tyranny now, or the jab is human rape, and so forth. Very simple things, very effective. And he always made great speeches about the need for united action on real things, but across the board, bringing in so-called former right and so-called former left. And we have to get rid of these ideas. So I just want to, I think it's impossible to have a minute's silence here because we'll get an interruption, but, I just want to remember for, say, 10 seconds, Jeff, and then other people might want to say something. So. Okay, well that was 10 seconds and there was no interruption. But does anyone else want to say something about Jeff? I mean, I think his heritage has to be remembered. We met some people recently who've come along to that Just Stop Starmer conference from Milton Keynes who were lost. They don't know what to do. Jeff has died and there's not much leadership there. But I think we can get them in to do something. But, has anyone else got anything to say about Jeff as far as I remember him?
You said enough.
Said enough. Okay, well I'll stop there then, and I think we should end, and I'll give out some more leaflets. We'll end with our favourite slogan, which is written on my t-shirt. Shall we do it in one?
Dirty shirt on again.
Yes, it's a bit slightly clean now.
Let the UK live!
Resist,
Defy, do not comply!
All right.
Woo.
Let
Thank
the
you,
UK
thank
live.
you, thank you.